one's the best crypto asset? Bitcoin's the best crypto asset. Which one's the best crypto asset? Bitcoin's the best crypto asset. Which one's the best? 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 What's the second best? There is no second best.
This is Discover Crypto. Welcome to 2026. We're going to talk about the 4-year cycle for Bitcoin being broken, and we're going to look at the charts and kind of make a prediction. Where are we heading over the next 12 months? I'm joined here today with TJ. TJ, how are you doing today?
I'm doing great. I actually worked a full day yesterday. I love kind of like working in the silence while everybody else is, sleeping in and doing whatever. But yeah, feeling good, feeling super excited about everything coming in 2026, and ready to stay in crypto all day, every day, like we never can't get enough of it, 24/7.
Yeah, and it's easy to not get enough of it when you have green days. When you finally have some green days, Bitcoin's
life.
Yeah, ETH is up 3% here. We have Tron looking the weakest with only 0.5%. Dogecoin up 10%. Solana, let's see, Solana is up 2.7%, and Cardano up almost 6.9%. Looking at the top gainers for today, we have Pepe with a 34% pump. I pulled the chart up right here. This is the 1-hour chart that we're looking at. You can just see the shorts getting wrecked. People trying to short it here. They get wrecked. They try to short it here. They get wrecked. They try to short it again. Are they finally going to, the bears finally take over? Because we are starting to see this RSI turn over on Pepe. But how about the meme coins leading the way again, TJ? What is this, 2023, 2024?
It might be risk on. It might be, obviously a lot of people were selling, tax loss harvesting. We talked about it towards the end of the year. Then we start to see it early January. Now, the question is, will this sustain? Is this a, just a dead cat bounce type thing, or will this rally sustain? I've also got CoinMarketCap, similar Floki and Pepe and all that, but Monad showing signs of life. Aerodrome, obviously one of my favorites, pumping a little bit. So it's interesting, but yeah, Brett, it's interesting to see the meme coins showing signs of life. Render,
Fartcoin, I see Fartcoin, Toshi on there.
A lot of memes. So either more than likely it's just we're getting ready to go to risk on season. Obviously another huge Fed thing that we'll talk about a little bit later in the show. But now that we're in the new year, the selling, the forced selling has probably stopped. A lot of people that were doing their year-end accounting, that part is behind us. And I do believe this is foreshadowing of what we're going to see for the remainder of the year. I don't think it's going to be up only, but I do think we're going to see some positive price action for a large part of 2026. And that kind of takes us to the conversation with this is the first time in the history of Bitcoin that there was only 2 bullish years before a red year. So we're officially kind of out of that 4-year cycle category.
Yeah, and one of those ways you would kind of determine, is the 4-year cycle over? It would kind of suggest something is different. Something has changed. One of the things that might have changed is institutions are here, and we can look at the 10 a.m. candles.
Here we go.
Oh, my God. Yes, there's a more manipulation today. I don't know, why they didn't get the memo, like change the time. Have your intern come in at 8 a.m., hit that button a couple hours earlier, or maybe just take a, late breakfast and then do this during your lunch break. But yeah, Bitcoin on the 20-minute candles, you see a lot of manipulation. You see a yellow line on the top end. I have not moved this thing. That's why you probably see, it doesn't kind of hold super, super strong on the 20. But when you go to the daily, this is what we're talking about. It's the symmetrical triangle. We have a $108,000 target to the upside, $69,000 target to the downside. And when you go to the 1 hour, really looks very clean. Look at that candle there. Look at that candle there. And right now we are showing signs of reversal candles. This is, if it were to close like this, a textbook doji candle or morning star candle, you hear different names, but basically a reverse indicator candle. And it does look like Bitcoin, if the bulls can't take over, we are going to probably come close to testing the bottom of this range. Let's go to the 4 hour, kind of, look at the middle there. You can see we push up, get pushed down, push up, get pushed down, push up, push up. I'm leaning towards we're going to get pushed down again, TJ. Why? We're heading into the weekend. It's going to be a little bit lower liquidity. and the whales are probably going to dump more Bitcoin over the next 2 days.
Yeah, it could be. I mean, they're definitely. I don't. I mean, you're just short-term dump. I mean, I was just
like 4-hour candles, maybe bouncing around here, then eventually breaking
because
out of this range.
whales are accumulating at an insane rate. I was looking at this right before the show started. This is a graph right here. Huge spike in wallets holding more than 1,000 Bitcoin.
Why do they have whales and exchanges? So is people buying and people dumping on exchanges, which is sometimes selling. So I saw that, but I was like, well, you're throwing exchanges in there.
It's just wallets with over 1,000 Bitcoin, which oftentimes are exchanges. But we've seen a huge uptick in that. So in my opinion, obviously this is going to be some of the Black Rocks. This isn't necessarily just individuals holding 1,000 Bitcoin. It's a lot of institutions. It's a lot of people holding on behalf of other people. But either way, that's an incredible 1,000. And that was a prediction I saw, and I'll go ahead and make. I think we're going to see less people holding Bitcoin as time goes on, but the people that are holding it will be holding a lot more. So we're going to start to see some concentration in the Bitcoin. Obviously, right now, it's still largely dispersed 70-80% across, retail holders. But I think we're going to continue over the next year and probably over the next decade, continue to see it concentrate into the hands of the rich and powerful. So that is kind of a warning. If you want to be rich and powerful, you should hold on to your Bitcoin. If you don't, then I guess just do whatever you want to do. But I think this will continue. This trend will continue. We're going to see more and more wallets holding a lot of Bitcoin and less holding 0.1, 0.05, small amounts. Just that's kind of one of my 2026 predictions.
All right. Well, we'll come back. We'll visit that in 12 months, but we might be visiting this chart in 12 months. In fact, I guarantee we will. This is the 4-year Bitcoin cycle, saying that it is broken. It has broken the cycle after 14 years. As TJ was saying, it is the first time we got 2 green followed by a red. It's always 3 green, red, 3 green, red, 3 green, red. And now you can see right here, just judging by this cycle is broken. Now, me and TJ, we've done, long debates about this. Basically, it kind of sums up. It's a 3-year, 10-month. We topped in November of 21. It was December of 17. So it's October of 25. As you subtract a month every 4-year cycle, it gets harder to end on December 31st at a high. So, that's the little weaselly way of saying, maybe the 4-year cycle is intact. But most indicators, and, I would agree with this. I do think the 4-year cycle is broken. I do think we are going to get a higher high in 2026. And we're going to talk about some of the predictions here. But you're underestimating. So what are we seeing at this year end? This is interesting data here. You're underestimating how many people sell crypto in December just to harvest a tax loss when the market's in a weak year. We described this on Wednesday, but let me show you in the charts. I'm going to show you just 3 years of this 4-year cycle. And here we have January 25. You go to January 25, look at the nice green juicy candle January 2nd. So you see it dumping into the tail end, and then January 2nd right here, we get a nice little green bump there. Let's go to 2024, I believe this is going to be, and you can see right here, January 1st, January 2nd, another nice fat green candle. We would go lower, but then as you would see, this is just people front running. We talked about this dip. This is BlackRock introducing the IBIT. We saw what happened with BlackRock introducing the gold ETF. We knew it was going to dump, and basically it's go to the market, it dumps, and then you see a pump. It's exactly what we saw right here. And then January 23, right here, this is January 2nd right there. So January 2nd of the cycle has historically been a very, very green day, kind of kicks off the tempo for the rest of the year. And if you look at that January 2nd candle. TJ, I'm liking the repeating narrative here.
Yeah. I mean, it's somebody said it here, like, oh, the good old tax harvesting narrative. I mean, sometimes things are narrative because they play out and they are true. I mean, it's not a narrative. It just is. People definitely do this. You can see it in the data. It's a tax strategy that a lot of people implement. Now, it's short term. I still think we need some fundamental shifts to occur, which I feel like a broken record a little bit talking about the Clarity Act or market structure bill, but that is going to be the catalyst, in my opinion. There are I'll obviously I'm the pessimist, or I mean I'm the optimist. I'm always bullish, but I will lay out a bearish case for you if you guys want for 2026. The bearish case is they don't get that thing passed early in the year. It gets pushed. It's political because there's a lot of political jockeying going around with the Clarity Act right now. A lot of bank influence, which we know banks are powerful. They have strong lobbying firms. They could, if this doesn't happen in Q1, say it gets pushed to Q2. Oh, now we're dealing with midterms. Oh, we got to work on the DeFi language. We got to keep tweaking it, and it gets pushed later and later and later into the
Bank
year.
of America wants to change this paragraph. Oh, BlackRock wants to change that paragraph. Oh, Elizabeth Warren wants to change the whole thing.
Right. There is a case where if that continues to happen, there's continued market unknowns with tariffs and all that sort of stuff. And a lot of this printing doesn't kick in until middle or later in the year. That's kind of your bearish scenario where we could get some relief rallies and then kind of make our way back down and kind of reclaim some of those lower levels people have been looking at, like the 78s and 74s, all that sort of stuff. Somebody else, yes, people saying I think that's what will happen. There's a chance. I mean, I think there's something like 70-ish% odds, maybe a little bit higher, that it happens early in the year in Q1. But and those prediction markets have been fairly accurate. They were extremely close to getting it done before the end of the year. So in my opinion, it should get done earlier in the year. But this is the issue with politics and government, is you never want to rely on government to be the one that saves you. You want to always be able to take care of yourself. So I still believe it'll happen earlier, and I do think we're going to see new all-time highs in 2026. There's a chance we see both, make a new low, because somebody said in the chat, DCA and Pray, I know he's our resident bear these days. He was saying he sees a new low, and it's not really I didn't know what he meant by new low, because, obviously everything has happened. But he meant just, go lower. So like 70, yeah. there's still a world where 74 is on the table, 78's on the table, that sort of stuff. And so that's my scenario where we see something in those low 70s. I'm still holding some cash for that. But more than likely, in my opinion, we will see that Clarity Act pass, and then floodgates start to open up. We saw more Fed repo, overnight repo. I think it was another 78 billion pumped in. So I believe we will see a massive money print next year, which leads to inflation. But the other thing that just popped this morning, Treasury rates back up to the highest they've been since September. I think it was, I don't have the number in front of me right now.
About the 10-year, the 2-year?
I think it was one of the longer terms. It was either 10 or I think it was the 10-year. Yeah, the 10-year Treasury rate, I want to say it was like back up to 4.8. Let me pull that up though. That could be wrong. So
all right. So maybe, might have a new high or a recent high for the 20-year bonds there. But speaking of Bitcoin predictions here, Polymarket has very interesting odds. I almost want to go ahead and put my chips on the table. I just don't know what bet I'm going to take on this. So Polymarket traders only see a 21% chance Bitcoin's going to hit 150K. Wait till you see the odds that match on the top end and the bottom end. The probability of 35K and the probability of a high number will shock you for sure. But prediction market, Polymarket, they got 21% odds for 150, despite many analysts seeing 2026 as a nice belated bull year for Bitcoin. According to the current market, what price will Bitcoin hit before 2027? 45% odds we hit $120,000, a price point below its all-time high. Let me say it a different way. Less than 50-50 odds, we hit 120. Higher than 50-50 odds that 2025 was the peak year for Bitcoin here, at least in this cycle. The odds fall further at 130, only 35% probability. So this week, you can kind of look 35% probability, a new all-time high. 140, only 28%. 150, 21%. The safest bet, Bitcoin's going to hit 100K. Now, while it's not entirely clear what made everyone so cautious, the ending of the 4-year cycle might have something to do with it after we close the year in the red. Despite the bearish odds, analysts have been tipping a bullish year. Just a few things, a new Fed Reserve chair replacing Powell, price of precious metals such as gold and silver, both hitting new all-time highs, and the major crypto bills that TJ was just alluding to. Let's go to Polymarket. Let's look at the odds. I said the low matching the high is what I found surprising. Equal odds, $35,000 as, drumroll please, $180,000.
Oh, wow.
Equal odds for $45,000, 20%. basically as 150,000. And if we go just say 55K, we got a 1 in 3 chance we're going to $55,000, which is essentially the same as a new all-time high. So people are almost at a coin flip. We're going to 55 or hitting a new all-time high.
Yeah, that's interesting. I mean, this and yeah, and then when we see that reflected in our chat, I guess let us know. Chat, what do you think? All-time high next year, or do
I would
we go
not put
lower?
my money on this, right? You bet $1 and you win 20 cents. That
Yeah.
doesn't sound. You don't even win that. You win like 18 cents after fees, 17 cents really. I would put my money because you want to pay out as well. You don't want to just bet $1 to win $1.05. That's not even fun. I want to bet $1 and 5x it at least.
You also need to
2x.
look at the timeline too. You're gonna have your money locked up for a year for this bet, so especially on a bet like this,
unless you wanted to get in and out of the trade. But with Polymarket, you can't sell your shares. But yeah, this isn't resolving for 364 days. You're going to be in this bet for a while. I would bet, and Chad, I'm interested in what you would bet on. Man, that I can't go low. 65. I mean, God, I'm like betting on being a bear and I only get paid 50-50. That doesn't sound fun either. I think I'm going to new all-time high, 3-1 odds almost. I would bet on 130.
Yeah, that's probably that's probably the one I was going to pick too. I mean, I'll take the 140 just because that'll be the Perma Bowl, but 130 to me seems like a decent bet. Seems very realistic. There's a world where we see 75s at 75%, and that's not that unrealistic to me either. So I was going to say we could hit 75 and 130 pretty easily in my opinion, but you're not getting very good odds on 75% because obviously we're not that far from it. So
no, not at all. And we're hovering around 90ish, pretty close to it. Yeah, Bitcoin is volatile, so it is surprising seeing these. There's probably some arbitrage. You could bet on it going a little lower. You could bet on it going a little higher. Probably both pay out and maybe walk away with a nice little payday there. So that's the Polymarket odds for 2027.
Interesting. I did go ahead and pull up that those treasury. It was 30 years. So the 30-year treasury back to almost 4.9, 4.88, which this is not a good sign.
Not good for home buyers.
It's not good for anything when it comes to getting a loan. And you guys, if you at home think the Fed rate is what sets the price for your mortgage, it's part of it. I mean, but it's not the only thing. It's really the long-term treasuries that do it. And then in theory, when the Fed drops their rates, it should have a positive impact on these, bringing the yield down, which brings your lending rate down. But right now, basically they keep trying to bring it down. Everything Bessent and Trump and all them are trying to get these treasury yields down. It just isn't working. This basically says the market is pricing in higher inflation for longer. So that is another, obviously we're printing a lot of money and this is going to continue. So it'll be interesting to watch this play out. I tweeted it smells like war. And there's that was the other part of my bearish scenario that I didn't necessarily go into.
Trump goes to war with Iran, basically.
No, I mean we're already more or less at war with Venezuela. So then, and I think we said it on the show already. It opens up the door for China to do the same thing in Taiwan. So if they did that could really cause a lot. And interestingly, that was something Drew and I were talking about over the holidays. One way to hedge crypto, if you think this was going to happen, we may have talked about this on the show or not, and I think Drew's going to do this, is you go open a put on NVIDIA. Because if they were to do that and kind of blockade everything going in and out of Taiwan, kind of like what we're doing with Venezuela, that would immediately tank a lot of markets, but it would absolutely tank a lot of the AI and chip market. And that could kind of give you a hedge if you're long Bitcoin and crypto or long regular markets. And then you take a hedge by taking a put on one of the number one assets on kind of it's a wild prediction. The odds of that happening are probably less than 10%, but it's not outside of the plausibility. So that's kind of the scenario where 4-year cycle stays intact. Massive war breaks out in 2026. Prices fall for a while before getting back to resuming 2027. But that's the excuse to print way more money than they printed in the past. Because some people said, like, well, how do they come up with the excuse to print? And that's a pretty good excuse.
Well, the number one reason they're printing right now, TJ, is you got to pay for all this fraud. There's a lot of fraud in America, and we are going to bring up Nick Shirley with a crypto angle. Is Nick Shirley proving that the creator economy is dead, at least with creator coins. And there's, that's what Thread Guy's saying at least. But let's talk about, Bitcoin, just back to the 4-year cycle. Then we'll roll into some altcoin news. Bitcoin just closed its first post-halving year in the red for the first time ever. Cycles were never a law of nature. They're a liquidity pattern, different macro, different participants, different constraints. What broke wasn't Bitcoin. What broke was the assumption that timing stays easy forever. And I think that's a good reason why we are seeing a different cycle. It can't be that easy if BlackRock's going to be here. It just can't, folks. At the end of the day, it just can't be that easy.
Yeah, I mean, it's not going to be that easy. And I people have been saying it for a while. People used to say it was too easy, and I will say it does have an impact, and it will always have some impact. It's always relevant to know and be aware of. But if you just understand supply and demand economics, I mean, yeah, the supply gets cut in half, but it's becoming a diminished cut each time. The cut from 25 to 12 and a half is a lot different than the cut from 3.125 to 1 and change. So we will have a halving in 2028. But it's going to have a less of an impact as the one in 2024 as the one in 2020. So
yeah, and everybody's saying, going much lower, going much lower. I love this stat. When you're looking at that 3-day bull div, we've talked about this a lot, or this is actually 1 week on Binance. It says oversold now as it was at 17K. We've been in a crypto bear market for months now, but I believe it is due for a rally sometime in Q1. And even if you were just totally convinced, I know for sure 126 is the top, we are going lower, you still get dead cat bounces. And I would predict if it was over, Dead Cat still going to take us into 110 plus, maybe 115, maybe get really close to 120, 126. And then as everyone flips bullish, that's when it dumps. But I am predicting we are going higher in 120 in 2026. Now, I'm super optimistic based on an abundance of evidence. I'm not going to go too deep into this, but the monthly, we're consistently creating higher highs and higher lows above multi-year resistance that has turned into support. That's something to pay attention to, folks, when you're talking about monthly candles. Also, ETF buyers, they're not backing down. They bought $20 billion from BlackRock alone in 2025. It's the only ETF on the Flow leaderboard with negative returns. And so if you're a value investor and you've been investing in this thing that you see as a long-term investment, kind of like gold, kind of like silver, that's what Bitcoin is. You've been down, you're buying, you're part of a cohort that spent $20 billion buying this through BlackRock. You have a red year. I think you're just going to say, I'm not just going to paper hand out of it. If they would have done it by December 31st. So I see a lot of this just adding to these positions to lower that average entry cost. And, I do expect ETF flows to stay robust throughout the year. And every top coincided with the top in the business cycle index, the ISM PMI. A top in copper gold ratio. It's like, are you building or are you going risky? And the expansion of the monthly Bollinger bandwidth. Gold and copper yet to break out. Business cycle yet to break out. Bollinger Band squeezed tighter than ever. So we just got a lot of confluence saying that things are going to be heading a lot higher. And that takes us to another huge Bitcoin purchase. Do you see Tether bought more on New Year's Eve, TJ?
I did see that. Yep.
Nasty amount, 8,888 Bitcoin. It gets their stash to 96,000 to close out 2025. This was announced by their CEO at the end of the year. They are now the 5th largest holder of Bitcoin. They're behind Binance, Robinhood, and Bitfinex, and they're second amongst the privately held corporate Bitcoin treasuries. We all know who that is. That Strategy. The move is part of a pattern of their quarterly Bitcoin accumulations. They put up to 15% of their earnings into Bitcoin every 3 months. Latest batch, 780 million. Also, I wanted to do this live with you, TJ, and the Disco fam. They got 26 tons of gold in Q3 2025, the largest quarterly acquisition, more than any central bank, and put their total holdings at 116 tons amongst the top 30 gold holders. 116 tons, 116. So gold right now, 43.44. This is the current price. 43.44. That's per ounce. TJ, how many ounces in a pound?
How many ounces? Oh, God, you're taking me back to middle school. I don't know, 16 ounces in a pound?
You're right, 16. Yeah. All right, so a pound of gold. Okay. Come on, simulation. Stop messing with me, simulation. I didn't plan this.
You didn't know that was going to happen?
I didn't. I want to do this live.
That's awesome.
Oh my God. Okay, so a pound of gold is 69,000. I mean, it's almost 420. You freaking degens. All right, so
Yeah.
69,000. Do you have how many pounds in a ton?
2,000.
Correct. So we're gonna multiply this by 2,000. So a ton of gold is, let's see the comma right there, $139 million. And was it how many ounces? Or I'm sorry, how many tons? 116 tons. So this is a ton of gold.
That
They
might
have
be
116 of them. That just sounds crazy, doesn't it? Like that just
Yeah.
sounds crazy. They have 116 tons of gold, and that comes out to comma here, comma here, comma here,
16 billion.
$16 billion
Wow.
in gold.
Yeah.
Just casual $16 billion stash of gold.
Yeah, I mean, Tether in a lot of ways is the latest, greatest central bank. It's like the new tech central bank. I mean, because you mentioned their Bitcoin stack, a lot of people forget what
Troy ounces.
Oh,
Yeah, it is slightly
ounces.
different.
Yeah.
Just people talk about how they learned their weight measurements when they were younger. You degens.
Yeah. Tether also gave 25,000 Bitcoin or contributed 25,000 Bitcoin to 21 Capital to launch that. So I bet that's not even counted in that first total. So there's another $2.7 billion worth of Bitcoin that they
that acts as
indirectly
equity, but is essentially the equity is all tied up in Bitcoin.
Exactly. And they have, people forget Tether more or less directly or indirectly owns 70% of 21 Capital. So it largely is Tether. Paolo is pretty much a legend. You get in all kinds of theories there too about what Tether is. Arguably, that's I don't know, Fed coin type stuff or whatever, but intelligence agency backed project in a lot of ways, that in a lot of people's opinion. I'm not the one saying that.
We are seeing people in the chat arguing, it's 2,000 pounds. No, it's 2,200 pounds. A metric ton is 2,200.
We're in the US.
Stupid imperialist like to say a 2,000 pound ton though.
Yeah, there you go.
And I'm not going to say kilometers. I'm not going to say Celsius. Okay, I'm not doing any of those things. I don't even care if they change it. I'm going old school. I'm still going to say pounds. I'm still going to say inches here. Let's talk about Brian Armstrong. Brian Armstrong laying out the blueprint for Coinbase in 2026, what they're focused on, and that's going to take us to the Nick Shirley creator coin. And I'll let you be the judge of how that thing did, but he put this out, and it's a pretty good thesis. We got 3 priorities for 2026 at Coinbase: grow the everything exchange. What does that mean? Expand beyond crypto. So they want to expand beyond crypto, equities, think of stock market, prediction markets, commodities, think gold, spot futures, and options. So they want to take a little bit of Robinhood's market share, E-Trade's market share. Also, they want to scale stablecoins and payments. Probably want to lean a little bit more into introducing USDC into a lot of different things. I'm still holding the Circle options. I think they're up today. I haven't checked lately. And they want to bring the world on chain through this is kind of the everything app. So this is doing everything financially. This is doing everything else. They have Coinbase Dev, they have the base chain, and they have the base app. We're making major investments in product quality, automation underlying each of these as well. Goals to make them #1 app in the world financially. And everyone's like, how about Richard Hart's engagement here, though? 2.4 thousand likes. But a lot of people are just like, yeah, you need to work on security. Maybe a risky scroll right there, because I'll say this, Coinbase customer during the data breach hack, guess what? I just started getting phone calls and text messages and emails all the time. So, yeah, there's a lot of pissed off customers when it comes to their security. I would agree with that.
Yeah, I get a lot of those Coinbase stuff. Well, no, luckily I don't. It's been very easy to me ignore it because I don't keep a lot on like the retail Coinbase customer app type stuff. But all in all, I think they're doing a pretty good job. I have a lot of respect for Brian Armstrong. I think he's really grown a lot, especially personally in the last couple of years, getting himself out there, doing a lot of the the speaking, and people have a lot of polarizing opinions about Jesse Pollock as well, but I think they're doing a lot of good work when it comes to trying to move the industry forward. I do like the base app. Obviously, you guys know I'm a huge fan of Aerodrome. I use that. That was another one that had a nice pump today when I was saying buy it at 40 cents. Yeah. Oh, their stock is that coin?
Yeah, it's daily.
Looking like a
I
buy.
might have to Okay. So
Yeah.
we're near this area, this point of control, but there is definitely a lower one here at 150. We're at 230.
I mean, look
Well,
at strat. You want to find a Bitcoin related stock that's looking beat down.
in your chart.
Fast MicroStrategy.
MSTR,
Yeah,
MSTR. Yeah, I know
it
that.
came up there right there at the end, but it is just hammered.
Uh-oh.
Yeah.
Uh-oh, what's happening here? That ain't good. That ain't good. Okay, so it's just using that wick right there. Okay. Well, actually, you know, it is. He's a little something over there. Yeah, that's not what you want to see. That's for sure. Losing a little support. You know, maybe
I
it's
mean,
just a little scam wick below the support line there, but that could spell more pain all the way down to like 115, 120.
yeah. I mean, it could. It's been what I think it's down like 60-70% in the last year, something like it's even on their website. Somebody was I
Yeah, I
think it
saw
was
that. Yeah, they're comparing
Caleb.
all these like winning assets, and they're
Yeah.
like the worst thing on the page.
Right. But it used to be, you know, you rewind 12 months and they were like the best performing one on the page. And, you know, yeah, I mean, that is a beatdown. That's a beatdown equity right there. And I've almost pulled the trigger on buying some a handful of times. It does give you
Like a circle stock.
Yeah.
I've been buying some circle options. My options are up today. I'm not going super crazy, but I think with clarity and with Gene, if everything going on with the congressional meetings, whatever comes out probably is going to be beneficial for Circle, whether it's they pass some of the profits to banks or maybe they keep a lot of the profits. We don't know that yet, but I think no matter what, it's going to be, you know, somewhat bullish for Circle.
I
I
agree.
am definitely liking this area because we're basically at the IPO price.
Yeah. And if you talk about how successful of a company Tether was, I mean, the only viable competitor really, or like the only person within the same stratosphere is Circle. You know, there's a
Mhm.
lot of other stablecoin issuers out there trying to battle for they're battling for number 3, in my opinion, because Tether's locked up number 1, Circle's clearly number 2, and then everybody else is fighting for number 3. And you can't buy Tether; it's a private company. So if you want to get exposure to probably what's the most lucrative business that come out of crypto yet, it's stablecoin issuance, and you know, Circle's it.
Yeah, so you're getting these Circle options pretty cheap. These options were, oh my god, these options were trading at $25. You're betting on a price right before 420. I think it's April 17th. So you're betting on the price April 17th. I don't even think it'll go to 175 from 82, but if it starts closing that gap, these options go insane. And so
Yeah.
that's just how I'm getting a little exposure. I hold spot Circle stock. I say spot because I'm encrypted too much. I hold just normal Circle stock, but I also like playing with essentially leverage.
I like that. That's a really good option, because if you think that the Clarity Act's going to pass between now and April 17th, which right now the odds are saying it will, it's supposed to happen sometime mid to late January, maybe sometime in February, you know, it's supposed to be in the key word. More than likely that price goes up after that passes. So you're at least in the green before April 17th.
Oh, baby. We got that 4-hour money flow turning a green pretty soon, and then that rolls into the daily money flow, and you know what happens there, folks, with equities at least. All right, so speaking of base, this is talking about Nick Shirley. No, I don't know if he's gonna no daycare jokes, okay? Spam your daycare jokes. All right, Base's creator coin experiment meets resistance after Nick Shirley launch. Don't call me Shirley. Base's push into creator coins is facing mounting criticism from traders and builders after Nick Shirley's token on Zora spiked to a $9 million valuation and then promptly slumped. The backlash came after he launched a token on Zora. His token briefly rode his online fame, 9 million fully diluted value before it slid to 3. Most of the volume came from existing traders rather than new users. Not Thread Guy argued that if he couldn't make the model work, nobody could. This is his post right here. He does a 12-minute video. I haven't watched the whole thing. Maybe I'll watch it this afternoon. I will never buy another creator coin, he says in this post. Not Thread Guy argued that if Nick Shirley couldn't make the model work, nobody could. If there was ever a time that these content coins, these creator coins were going to work, it was Nick Shirley right here, right now, in this moment, and it just didn't work. He added there's no demand to trade content coins beyond the trenchers on the trenchers. So trencher squared, meaning the most dedicated people, really just probably trying to pump their bags, and it's just not really seeing it there. I'm in disbelief over this fiasco. They got their community to prove that creator coin model can work, and they just did nothing. This was their moment. Everyone here recognized it, except the ones that could actually do anything about it. To their credit, I give it was in there. He did reply. See, Brian Armstrong. He replied. He said he had a great chat with Not Thread Guy and received lots of good ideas. So that's kind of where he's at the moment there.
Yeah, my big thing. Yeah, there it is, right there.
Yeah.
Had a great chat with him. Lots of good ideas, and that's kind of what I'm talking about. I think Brian Armstrong is doing a much better job, and many people like to come out and criticize a lot of these leaders, but nobody. I mean, most of the criticism coming from people that haven't led a company with thousands of employees that's dealing with global issues all around the world, jurisdictional issues, legal issues, regulation issues. And it's very easy to, if for somebody like Brian Armstrong to have to remain focused on major, large problems that affect their entire company and thousands of people. But I think he's doing a really good job, specifically in the last year or two, at getting a lot closer to their everyday user and refocusing his energy on things like this. So I want to give him a lot of credit for that and being a vocal leader. So that being said, I'm kind of in the same boat. I've played with a lot of creator coins over the years. Obviously, you guys know we're content creators. We want to see this model work. And the biggest disconnect I have in the kind of my theory on why they'll never catch, and I shouldn't say never, but it's going to take a long time. It's because it's going to take an entire shift in culture for content, basically, because if you think about, and I think I've said this before, if you think about a content creator, part of why they do it and part of is because they want it to be fun, they want it to be helpful, and as soon as it shifts from somebody's watching your content because they enjoy it to they're like an investor and you have to create returns for them, it takes all the fun out of it, and it makes it all, people are mad at you because you're not pumping the coin, you're not doing this, you're not doing that, and all they're just like, that's not why I do this. I do this because I want to communicate a message, or I have something to say, or I'm trying to help people. And that is going to be a hard problem to solve. Now, I'm not saying it's unsolvable, but no iteration of any creator coin I've seen so far solves for that problem, where all the best creators are not going to want to do it just to make a quick buck and then create a whole community of people that are mad at them. Anybody that's in it for the long term has a different expectation. So I think they're trying a lot, and that's, I think, what matters with Zora. That's what we're talking about here, Zora specifically on base. I think they're closer than many others, but it's going to be a long journey, and I know they're committed to that, and that's why I want to give Coinbase, Brian Armstrong, Jesse Pollock their flowers, because this is a long-term battle, and I don't see them backing down or showing weakness at all. They will push through all of this and maybe crack that code in the long term, but at the end of the day, it has to come from a different economic model. Like realistically, the way creators were incentivized before was to make good content that gets good views, that then the platform can sell ads against, and some of that gets shared with the creator. The funding has to come from ads or brands. It can't come from your actual community buying your token. So maybe there's a new way to structure it through brand deals. That would be interesting, but again, X and YouTube and, a lot of the major social media platforms have already been perfecting this for a while. So I wouldn't give up on these, but I'm kind of with Thread Guy. I'm not buying them. That's for sure. And that's something to remind yourself with a lot of different altcoins. You need to stay in the things that have a good incentive model that have found product market fit. All these there will always be new ideas in crypto. They will always sound great, and they could always change the world. And just like any new startup or any new stock or any new tech innovation, you're going to have thousands of things coming out. There's a couple of unicorns within there, and then there's a lot of things that are going to go to zero. And creator coins are going to take a while to crack that nut. For me, I'm going to stay in Bitcoin. I'm a big believer in Base. That's why I'm so heavily invested in Aerodrome. We use Aerodrome. It works. Base has been our number one. And Morpho, I think, will continue to do well. And Zora has crushed it. I'm not saying Zora is not doing well. If you look at the stuff that performs on there, and if you look at who's attracted to it, it's not content creators. And so That's just that's my rant on that. But
yeah, and I would agree with it's the trenchers on the trenchers in there, and really no one else at the moment. I did want to look at the 10-year, the 30-year. Someone's like, oh, you don't even know how they look at mortgage rates. I can't find the comment now, but you were correct. Just go ahead and give you your flowers. 30-year isn't what they base mortgages on. A lot of people do sign 30-year mortgages. I saw someone else say most mortgages are paid off in 10 years. I was like, right before that, you are correct. No, it is true.
Most mortgages
there's a reason. Yeah, a lot of people don't understand the reason why most mortgages are paid off in 10 years because people switch houses. So when you switch houses, the house is paid off. It's a stupid distinct. Yeah, you're right. Yeah, you're right. So, but I want to show, the 10-year, the 30-year.
10-year, is usually what it's based on.
This is the 10-year here. There's a 30-year here. They're both since 2011. You can see since 2011. Where did we bottom out? We kind of peak right here, August of 2020. When was this? All right, that's August of 2020. Yeah, they're very highly correlated. You are correct. I had a flippant remark of saying, 30 years are up. He pulled up, it's really bad for home buyers. Sure. Is it bad when the 30-year goes up for a home buyer? Yes, because probably the 10-year is going to go up. And so that is what I mean. But yeah, you're right. Most mortgages are paid. Whoever said that most are paid off in 10 years, you are correct there. All right, let's and so that's why the rates kind of more closely correlate to that. But let's talk about Solana. There, are you happy? Are you happy? All right, Solana whale accumulation leads early 2026 chatter as large holders keep stacking, hinting at renewed confidence despite volatility. So this is from Sentiment. It's just kind of going over, just what people are paying attention to. They're saying Solana is what you got to keep your mind on. And then this kind of went viral. Hey, Grok, remove the scam cryptocurrency from this image. It was Solana. It removed Solana. People are, obviously a lot of people got very upset. This one, remove every crypto except the one most likely to perform the best in 2026. It says Cardano is going to do the best.
Hey,
there's one more I wanted to share here. There, that one. That was a good one too.
That was a good one. Yeah, it's interesting. Grok likes this Grok out there dividing communities left and right now because there's all sorts of different ones. There's I saw one.
Who would you remove? Let's put let's put TJ to the fire here. I know chat, they're gonna say XRP. A lot of them are gonna, and then the XRP bulls are gonna defend XRP.
I mean, it's for me, it would either be XRP or Solana. I don't necessarily disagree with Grok. I wonder if it's leaning into the latest, scam is just one of those words that, it's very open to interpretation. What does scam really mean? Are the, malintent against its users? And you wouldn't really say XRP. If anything, you would say, this is something Ripple was doing and it was just kind of sketchy marketing. But, at the end of the day, the coin exists. There's really nothing scammy about the coin. So I probably, by my definition of scam, would come to a very similar conclusion that Grok did, just especially based on, Pump Fund and a lot of the latest stuff that happened on the Solana blockchain. If you think about crypto users that lost money in crypto the most, it's probably Solana. If you look at, if you have to look at losing money as part of that. And I would imagine on that list, Bitcoin, Ethereum, most people that were buyers of Bitcoin and Ethereum have made money. Most people that were buyers of XRP actually have made money. Now you could argue about their reasoning and their rationale, but they're most of the ones I experienced that are still holders have made money. And if you look at what was the Solana and Cardano, a lot of people in Cardano made money, just because, I bought Cardano at 5 cents, I'm still
I posted about that 3-day bull div and it played out so well. And I was so close to longing. It was the holidays and I didn't long it, man. I was going to long Cardano and I ended up missing that one just barely.
Yeah. And Solana, arguably a lot of people that have bought Solana have made money. It's just the rest of the chain, and so I don't know. I wouldn't call any of those a scam per se.
Yeah, I don't think any's a scam.
And sure. That's why that phrase is tough. So I guess I would leave the image as is. I'd say none of them are a scam. They all produce.
The US dollar is a scam. How about that?
There you go.
The US dollar is a scam, and you got to park it somewhere because guess what? It just loses value every single year. But one of the ways people are parking it is in silver, and this I just found interesting here. physical silver, and I haven't verified this myself. They're saying Japan today, this, different time zone, they were paying $130 per ounce, whereas the paper silver price in America, COMEX is CME of New York City, essentially. They're only trading at $71. So this is something to pay attention to, because it does look like the demand for physical silver vastly outstripping paper, and they're maybe trying to use paper to suppress the price, similar to what we saw in the 1980s with the Hunt brothers. Silver story is not over. I think silver, precious metals, this story will continue into 2026. But speaking of 2025 here, looking at the busiest blockchains of 2025, number 1, Solana. Number 2, BNB. Number 3, Base. Number 4, Tron. Number 5, Near. They kind of break down each one. Solana, the main thing, the DEXs and the meme coins, especially the beginning of the year. Binance Smart Chain. It's just going to have a lot of low fees. Also, its own meme coin scene. Also, just a lot of attention after Aster. So I would say Aster is going to be a big part of this. Tron and Near rounding out the top 5 here. Tron, they're basically saying it is mostly USDT transfers. Why a lot of people trade USDT in Asia using Tron on the Tron network. And then Near, a lot of it was going to be the Near Intense. And they say the Zashi wallet, all because of Zcash. So in a weird way, Near on here may be because of Zcash more than anything else. So there you go. There are your most used chains. Anything really surprising?
I was a little surprised to see Near creep up in there. I mean, other than like Solana, BNB, Base, Tron, that all made a lot of sense. And, I was a little surprised to see that 5th was Near.
I'll say, probably for me, the most surprising as well.
Is that the image below that shows what's right below Near? Aptos. I can't see.
Somnia.
Oh, that's Sony's. Yeah, Squee, Polygon. I would imagine those are all pretty close, but, obviously there's a big fall off between 4 and 5. 2, 3, 4 are all pretty tight, and then Solana with that huge advantage there. So now that's by transactions. So then you could argue due to different chain part of the chain infrastructure will impact that by the way transactions actually happen. Why am I talking into an upside down coffee cup? It's a microphone.
Oh, okay. Right. This is a skinny coffee cup. The most skinniest one I've ever seen.
I don't even drink coffee, so.
Yeah. You're a yerba mate guy, right?
Yerba mate, yeah.
Yerba.
They changed the name though. I guess they got sued. Now it says yerba madre, but yerba mate, it's a root it's very common in South America. It's a lot healthier for you. It's all organic and clean, but mostly I drink it because it's got 150 grams of caffeine. So this got me off energy drinks.
Read those ingredients. Tell me it's healthier than black coffee.
No, not healthier than black. It's healthier than Bang and
Bang. Rain. Oh yeah. Monster Energy a million times.
I just can't drink coffee. I've tried so many times. I just can't drink it.
It's a mechanical function, and I just treat it as such. It's just fuel, and sometimes you just gotta. This is room temperature bitter. I got room temperature. A little story time, I was telling TJ, popped a tooth crown last night, eating some of my wife's delicious baked goods. She cooked some marshmallows, and the marshmallows melted. She does homemade marshmallows. They have gelatin in them. Cook that gelatin, pop that tooth crown. So I'm going to have to deal with that later today. But let's talk about a little DeFi here. We got some from the chains to the DeFi protocols. Check this out. What do we got? We got Meteora, Jupiter, Uniswap, Pump.Fun, Hyperliquid, Lido, Jito, Aave, Radium, Pancake Swap. And then the predictions saying Hype is going to jump to number 1. Jupiter staying at number 2. Uniswap staying at number 3. Meteora is going to fall. Pump.Fun also staying roughly the same there. So the big change there, saying Hyperliquid might get more money.
Yeah, I would argue. I think Pump's going to fall. I mean, obviously, that a lot of that comes back to that same meme coin cycle rally for Radium, Jupiter, and just again, the chain infrastructure is designed to generate fees like that. I hold Jito.
When did Aster launch?
Late.
Yeah, October, and they're almost they're 11. So what if they had all 12 months? Year?
Yeah, wow, that's why
might be higher.
Yeah, they probably will go up that line. Yeah, I think Aave will continue to climb. I think Pump slides down that list. Arrow will keep climbing. Uniswap holds its place probably. Well, it'd be interesting to see if the Solana-based ones, the Jitos and the Jupiters, if they can hold the line. Obviously, It's much easier to generate fees on Solana. Fees are a lot like not lower necessarily, but they are on Ethereum, especially main chain. So you have to do a lot more volume to get similar fees. So, but Uniswap number 3, I see them holding their position. But yeah, it's interesting. But
all right, it looks like we do have some Rockstar drinkers. I don't mean to insult, but you're drinking poison. You got to stop drinking the poison. You can drink 10 cups of coffee a day. Are you going to be a little? You look like Butters from South Park. Maybe you can't drink 10 Rockstars a day. You'll die. So
yeah, I'll tell you from personal. It's anecdotal, but personal experience. I've known multiple people. If you're drinking more than one energy drink a day, even if you're drinking one a day, but especially Bangs and Reigns, things with 300 milligrams of caffeine, what a lot of people like, room temperature and bitter. I've known multiple people that have had heart attacks and heart issues and all sorts of health issues from drinking energy drinks. So,
all right, stay away from the meth. Don't watch Clavicular. He's
I was
not
about
even
to say
really on
the looks. You saw did you see what happened? The latest thing with him? He ran somebody over with his car.
Yeah, I believe he is just got confirmed he's not going to get charges from that local police department.
Yeah, wow.
I think that happened like yesterday. So
I
want to live in the world where if a crazy schizo jumps on your hood, you can hit the gas. I want to live in that world.
Yeah, I don't hate that. The most sociopathic thing he did was getting on film. There's like, is he dead? Hopefully, and then keeps driving. Like that line right there.
While mewing the whole time. Just never stop mewing.
Yeah. I mean, he's
It's the modern day Patrick Bateman. That's not a good thing. All right, let's talk about Solana here. Solana, when it crashed to $8, the RSI was 28. The relative strength index is the way of just measuring the strength of an asset. It's what they call an oscillator. And the last dip, the RSI was at 30. Looks pretty good here. I didn't quite, it's on the 3-day. They're on Binance, so maybe I need to be on Binance, not Spot Crypto. But yeah, you can see it right there. Last time we had the RSI look very similar, basically identical to this. Was this moment right here. Solana would go from a wick of below 100 and pump 165% all the way to 255. And it also doesn't look too dissimilar from this bottom, but more so like this one and this one. This one did lead to a lower low. If we were just to measure this after it fell 78%, you're like, all right, the bull dip's forming. Now we're down 89%. It cannot go lower. Look at this. Look at the RSI. It's oversold. It would keep going lower. You would go from $28 to $9, set $8. So you would let's just measure that, right? Let's see. All right, we just fell 89%. We can't fall further, right? It's over. It's done. Now you can fall another 70%. So I'm not saying it's 100% guaranteed we're bouncing from here, but I really like the odds of Solana. This is the bottom. Maybe we get some like weird weekly candle like this in the next week or two, but I'm expecting it to look largely like this over Q1. So I'm very, very bullish on Solana moving forward here. And let's talk about ETH. So show me some ETH TA. I got your ETH TA right here, baby. I got it right here. Just need you to hit that like button. Large ETH holders are making a very clear move. The chart tracks wallets holding between 10 and 100,000 ETH. Their balances have gone parabolic. After spending years declining, they're back near all-time highs, climbing fast again. Basically, the big ETH holders are accumulating aggressively. This isn't the TA, don't worry. You can see the balance of 10K to 100K just skyrocketing right there. Seeing a huge, huge pump. As long as ETH bulls don't crap the bed today, fluctuate everywhere, there's going to be the first daily close above the 20 and the 50 in 86 days. This is the 8 this morning. And look at that. Look at that. We're very, very close. We are very close. So we're above the 20, flirting with the 50. I'm using the EMA. Maybe they're using, no, they don't say. They just say the moving average. So I don't know if it's the SMA or the EMA. Slight difference between the two. I don't want to bore you with the details, but all right, I'm going to bore you with the details. Exponential movement is going to be higher weighted recently. Simple moving average, each of the 100 days has an equal weight. There you go. I had to get it out. It was going to bother me all day if I didn't do that, but we are very close. Will the bulls pull one of these, TJ, or are we seeing this? Are we seeing this? Are we seeing option A, or do you think we're getting option B? Not D.
D.
D for the DZ there.
What would?
Oh my gosh. I don't
Now
know
we're
what I'm trying to type around a microphone.
B is
Help
go
me.
a little bit lower, is what you're saying right there.
Yeah, A is reject off the line. B, I guess I would
The
say
line act. There
turn
you
it
go.
into support.
Yeah, I think
Chat, type in A or B. What are we getting here? Are we getting A or are we getting B?
we're getting B. I think we're turning a lot of these levels into support, and it's important. Obviously, we laid out some bearish scenarios that could play out, and I think people forget sometimes we are in the market of speculating, and you're not going to make life-changing money without taking significant risk. And so, yes, is there a risk you could see a 50% drawdown from here? Sure, but is there also a risk that you see a 200% pump? Yes. And so, like, at these levels at 87K, I put in a lot of money at 87K, several $100,000. And, that could be a poor decision if it goes lower. And, maybe I could have bought lower. That being said, I have my thesis as to what's going to happen next year. I think massive money printing leads to a rally for many commodities. We've already seen it with a lot of the precious metals. Those are commodities. People forget Bitcoin and Ethereum have been considered a commodity by many rather than a security. So, I haven't looked at the Team USA hockey. I did see it came out, but I haven't looked into it just yet. So
Do they do the flying V still?
no. The Quack Attack is back, Jack. Great movie. So anyway, you got to take a risk. If prices could go down, then you need to be able to hold through that. And if you don't take a risk, you're not going to make a lot of money. If you're just waiting for confirmation, if you're waiting for it to be a risk-free trade, risk-free trades or very low-risk trades do exist, but they're not going to make you a ton of money. You have to have a ton of money to capitalize on low-risk trades. So if you're trying to turn a little bit into a lot, that you're not going to do that without risk. And so, if you're willing to take that risk, I think 2026 could be your year. But if you've got a lot of money and you want to reduce your risk, just wait for the confirmation. There you go. Mighty Ducks cast.
What's your favorite cast member? I like the fat funny kid, but I think
Goldberg.
I like the bully from the Broken Home the most because I was from the Broken Home.
The Bash Brothers. Yeah. Then you got Charlie. I do have a old school. I think he's wearing it in that picture. Conway 96 jersey I used to wear when I was snowboarding. But and then what was the goalie's name? Julia, something like that. The new goalie. So there's both goalies on the left. But yeah, Goldberg's a classic. I mean, you can't not like Goldberg. So yeah, Team USA. I'll have to go check it out. That was Mighty Ducks 2, by the way, where they did the Team USA stuff. So
that's right. That's right. There was that whole angle in there. All right, last thing, XRP holders. We saved the XRP for last. I'm not going to say best or worst. You're not putting me on that. All right, XRP bounces, but what's the good news here? Exchange supply is now at an 8-year low. Exchange bounces have decreased by 57% since October. I do think if we go risk on, who said this? I think it was Raoul Paul. ETH, is a high cost per coin. Bitcoin, high cost per coin. Then he has what he posits the idiot trade, and that's retail coming in, and they see a coin is cheap. Well, Bitcoin's $100,000, but this coin is $1 or $2. Average retail is just going to be gravitating towards that $1 or $2 coin. They call it the idiot trade. Why they call it that? Because they're not looking at the market cap. They're looking at the individual units. Unit bias, several reasons. XRP is going to be a winner, and I really like seeing that. That's a good metric. It's down 57% from October, suggesting the tokens are moving into longer-term storage. So XRP bulls might have a good year, 2026. So 2026 might look like the tail end of 2024.
I agree. I mean, you can see Cardano on that too. I mean, even if you just look at this real briefly, I mean, we're back at 90K on Bitcoin, which is nice, but 2.5% on Bitcoin. You got 4 on Ethereum, XRP almost 5, and Cardano almost 7. So it's very similar. People are going to be looking at the lower priced ones. Solana feels expensive. Tron just in the US doesn't seem to get as much coverage. Doge with 10%. I still don't understand the thesis behind anybody who buys Doge, but a lot of people do it. A lot of people see it and they buy it. So I guess
Elon's going to pump it. I like dogs.
Doing it for the culture, I guess. But for me, this was a question I wanted to ask the chat. If you had, all right, this is a good way to. You have anything else you want to hit before we wrap up? No. Okay. So if you had, this is for anybody in here. I'm curious for you too, DZ. You get $50,000 lands in your account right now. 50K, you can only buy one coin. have to hold it for the entire year, at least 12 months. Can't sell it, can't hedge it, can't do anything, can't arbitrage. Holding it for 12 months, buying it today, hold it till December 31st or January 2nd, 2027. What one coin are you buying?
Tether. No, I'm just kidding. I would honestly, you have to hold it. You cannot sell it. My risky side wants to do Chainlink, but
Okay.
I probably would just do Bitcoin just because you never know. And
Yeah.
if Bitcoin goes up, Chainlink will go up. If Chainlink's going up, it's probably because Bitcoin's going up. I don't really see a world where Chainlink's going to triple in price and Bitcoin doesn't have a good pump as well.
Yeah.
I would lean towards those two. Probably Bitcoin though over Chainlink.
All right. Well, that's all right. So if I eliminated Bitcoin, you'd pick Chainlink?
Oh, man, if you would have told me right when Cardano was 33 cents, I'd probably say Cardano. But it's pumped like probably harder than all the other coins over the last 48 hours. So now I'm like Link is going to be the next one to catch that bid.
Ondo, people.
I don't
are
hate
saying
Tau.
Tau, ETH. For me, I think for me that coin is going to be Arrow. Believe it or not, I've you guys know I love Arrow. It's up to 50 cents now. I hope some people bought it in the 40s and low 40s while we were telling you, because that was an incredible support. And this would be one that I could hold. It's got some utility. I could use it. I could lock it. It could produce more. In my opinion, I'm pretty weighted to the majors, mostly Bitcoin and Ethereum, Chainlink, Solana, as far as my picks. But Arrow is my high. It's kind of my high risk, where if I put some money on that, then that's where I think 50K could turn into several $100,000. If I put 50K into Bitcoin, maybe it turns into 100K or so. But yeah, I agree right there. That is a buy zone in that 40. What is that? What's the bottom of that blue line? 30 cents. 31 to 31 to 40.
Here.
Yeah, is an incredible area to buy Arrow, and we just saw it. We pulled it up. I mentioned it a bunch. I know some people asked what they should buy, and I said Arrow on that day. So I hope some people pulled the trigger on that now. And it's still kind of close within that range.
I mean, if you stretch it enough,
yeah, it's barely in there.
Guys, you got 20 seconds. Pull the trigger.
Yeah. So that's my pick. I've seen a lot of other really good ones come in. Yeah,
crypto. Too late on the 1 minute. You're priced out. You had a little window at 9:30 a.m., but now you're priced out. Actually, that's Friday, folks. That was a while ago. Oh wait, today is Friday. I'm so thrown off with this holiday.
Yeah, the holidays are messing everybody up. So is everybody. But yeah, let us know. Let us know in the comments. Let us know the type of stuff you want us to cover in 2026. We are going to be probably trying and testing some new things. Always trying new stuff over here. So let us know if what you like about what we do now, what you don't like about what we do now. Things, any suggestions you'd have for us to do in the future. We love all of you guys and appreciate your community and excited to start another great year. Look at that.
I told you guys, 33 cent ADA. I told you. All right, folks. Hit that like button.
We just wanted to take a quick second to shout out our sponsor, Arculus. They are a cold storage hardware wallet, helps you secure all of your digital assets for the future. Just tap this thing to the back of your phone and boom, you're in. We wouldn't be able to do this without them, but also wouldn't be able to do this without you guys, the Disco fam. You've supported us a lot over the years. If you want to support the channel now, just use the code DC20. It gets you 20% off this card. It's the #1 way you can support this channel going forward. Thank you for your support. We'll see you at the top.